So today I want to talk about a book which is really considered one of the best books in the field of marketing, and it's the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Ries and Jack Trout. And this book contains really highly specific knowledge about marketing and how to promote and sell your product. So these are a few notes that I took. And this is not like a summary of the book, so I really recommend you to read it for yourself. But just a few concepts that I considered very intelligent and I want to share with you. And let's see if we can improve our businesses. So the first chapter says that regardless of reality, people perceive the first product into the mind as superior. So you really want to be the first mover in a new market, and in order to take that first spot, that first place, because if you are the first mover, you are in a way conquering the mind of the customer. So the customer will know that your brand is associated with that specific market and that specific product and use case associated. So if you have a small market share and you have to do battle with larger, better financed competitors, then your marketing strategy was probably faulty in the first place. So if you find yourself in a very, very difficult situation, it means that you have probably made a few errors in deciding your positioning in the first place. So don't forget to really understand if you will have the ability to penetrate a market and to take your fair share of that market. If you didn't get into the prospect's mind first, don't give up hope. Find a new category you can be first in. So for example, if we are talking about the same market, such as the automotive, cars market, you can't be the first because the first was, I don't know, maybe Ford back in the early 1900s, but you can choose a different category for your product to be the first. For example, you want to be the first in the luxury EV market, which now it's really coming to become a thing. And or you can choose another category, but the important thing is that you need to be associated in the mind of the customer with a specific kind of product. Being first in the marketplace is important only to the extent that it allows you to get in the mind first. So you wanted to have that piece of mind real estate in the head of the customer, where the customer naturally associates your brand with the type of product that he's used to buy. In that way, you will have very lower costs of advertising and marketing to sustain. The single most wasteful thing you can do in marketing is try to change a mind. So you wanted to be the first mover and you wanted to seize the mind of the customer in the first place, and you can't. You will have to sustain really huge costs to make the customer change his mind. So better to start in the right way than to correct your trajectory later. A company can become incredibly successful if it can find a way to own a word in the mind of the prospect. The simple words are best, words taken right out of the dictionary. So you wanted to associate your brand with a real product in the mind of the customer. For example, there is a Scottex, which is a really, really famous brand for the kitchen paper that you use to cook dishes. But there are a lot of different brands that became common words in the dictionary because they were just the first movers or just the only movers in that specific market. So in the long run, every market becomes a two-horse race. So there is statistical evidence that in the most important markets, there are really two competitors that are the biggest monopolies for the same kind of product. So if you find yourself as the third or the fourth, or you are not well positioned in that market, it's really better to just give up. When a competitor owns a word or a position in the prospect's mind, it is futile to attempt to own the same word, because the first impression is the last impression. The average human mind cannot deal with more than 7 units at a time, which is why 7 is a popular number for lists that have to be remembered. For example, 7-digit for numbers, 7 wonders of the world. There are a lot of things with the 7, and it's just because it's difficult for the human mind to deal with 7 things at the same time. So, for example, you want a name that is short enough to be remembered, and there are a lot of things in marketing that are really connected to psychology, and this is one of them. A category starts off as a single entity, computers for example, but over time the category breaks up into other segments, mainframes, mini computers, workstations, and of course this book is a little aged because now we really think about laptops for computers, but there are also like quantum computers. There are huge computers, mainframes that are used by for example, in the banking sector. So this is to say that a category starts off as a single entity and then develops when the market is developing and a lot of becomes global, a lot of new customers come in. The same category gets divided into a lot of different market sectors, and you can really find your niche and differentiate your product from your competition. The way for the leader to maintain its dominance is to address each emerging category with a different brand name. So if you have like a really huge company with a lot of different brands, you want not to have the same brand for everything, like different products in different markets, because that creates confusion in the mind of the customer. You want to really create different brands and differentiate them, and then have a holding company that is actually the owner of all those different brands. Another interesting thing is that chemically, alcohol is a strong depressant, but in the short term, by depressing a person's inhibitions, alcohol acts like a stimulant. So, in the same way, many marketing moves exhibit the same phenomenon. The long-term effects are often the exact opposite of the short-term effects. So when you decide make any decision related to marketing, you really need to understand what is your time frame. So if you are deciding for the short term, maybe a few weeks or a few months, or if you're deciding for the long term, which is talking about years and decades. So the last chapter starts with an interesting idea, which is that invariably the leader in any category is the brand that is not line extended. And the term line extensions refer to the idea that when you have a brand that is doing one thing, and then you extend the thing that you are doing to two different niches, two different market sectors. So the leader in any category is the company that is able to focus all its effort into just one category, to do just one thing, but in the best way possible. Candor is very disarming. Every negative statement you make about yourself is instantly accepted as a truth. Positive statements, on the other hand, are looked at as dubious at best. This is like a few psychological tips. For example, you don't want to make a negative statement about yourself, but when you do it, the market will accept it as the truth. So you can just use it as a sort of like a manipulation marketing thing, because you can say something that is not really negative about yourself, but seems negative, so people accept it more as the truth. The negative you have to shift quickly to the positive when you do that, and the purpose of candor isn't to apologize, but to set up a benefit that will convince your prospect. So your goal is to build that trust into the prospect, the potential customer, and you do that by stating something that is first negative about yourself, but then it transforms into something positive. For example, yes, our prices for our cars are very high, and this is something that is negative, perceived as negative, but our cars are the best in the market. You can't find anything like that. This is something negative, high price, that gets into something really positive because the high price is associated with a higher quality for your product. A company must be flexible enough to attack itself with a new idea. This is a very cool concept because before you get attacked by the competition, you want to attack yourself to be your own competition. In that way, your company will grow faster than the market and will innovate faster, and it will stay competitive in the market. One way to maintain a long-term demand for your product is to never fully satisfy the demand. If you really satisfy all the demand that there is, then the market won't be receptive to future offerings for the same product line. For example, for the same kind of car, for the same kind of phone. So these were a few interesting ideas that I found in the book. The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing I really suggest to you because it's kind of short and also very fun to read, with a lot of practical examples that are intuitive, and you can understand like concepts that are a little complex, but just in a quick way. This is very related to the ability of the authors. So I hope this will be of value to you, and as always, we see you in the next book review.